We
Right,
are.
everyone. Let's not do what we did yesterday.
Yeah, hopefully not. I don't think I can handle two back-to-back TPKs in a row. Welcome back to Call of Cthulhu, Destiny in the Dark. In our previous session, our intrepid investigators ventured further into the foreboding tunnels that lie beneath Josh's Aunt Agatha's house. The oppressive darkness and eerie atmosphere surrounded them as they delved deeper, and you stumbled upon a mysterious hole, which eventually you decided to descend, and Oggy, to his horror, spotted a white ape-like creature, its grotesque form striking fear into his heart. You tried to flee, but unfortunately, a cave-in, unstable, the area of tunnels you've been travelling, clearly your way through had made it somewhat unstable, or perhaps these creatures themselves had trapped you. Who knows? However, you were forced to push onwards with no way out. Inside the tunnels further, you discovered an organ with human heads that emitted an unnatural tune, sending shivers down your spines. Your journey into the depths continued. More of these white ape-like creatures tending to a farm of fungi. Eventually, you came across a snake-like humanoid who met a swift demise at the hand of a well-aimed shot. However, your triumph was short-lived as the snake creature sounded a gong, an alarm, before its demise, alerting the white ape-like creatures to your presence. As panic set in, you realised you were outnumbered and outmatched, and in a desperate act, our beloved Milton Butterfield made a split-second decision and fled into the tunnels in an attempt to offer one of these white ape-like infants, leaving his companions behind and suffering a fate within the dark abyss. Meanwhile, though, those who remained within the chambers of this snake-like creature experienced a stroke of luck as Oggy stumbled upon a strange sign etched onto the wall, unlocking a hidden passage. Through this providential discovery, you emerged unscathed in a tunnel near the cave's entrance, following near a flowing river. So, we begin somewhere completely different. This music is actually pretty good for. I was going to change the music, then it sort of started again, and I thought it was actually pretty good.
Would you mind restarting it once more?
Absolutely.
The weird thing.
No problem. In fact, maybe I will change up the music in that case. So, we began somewhere completely different. A man with a slightly unsettling air walks into the office of a local business named the Harbour Emporium, based in Boston, Massachusetts. His light grey suit projected an image of a persuasive salesman. He stood a little bit short and gaunt, with long blonde hair slicked back in an unfashionable manner for the time, complemented by a finely waxed blonde moustache on each side. As he neared the shop front, a Mr. Randolph Silsford, charming smile and confident demeanour caught the attention of a young man standing behind the till. The young man, sporting a tie-dye shirt and dark, short auburn hair, looked up with curiosity as Randolph approached. Tom. Randolph Silsford, Randy to his friends, has arrived back at the business known as the Harbour Emporium. Once again, you know this man, Trevor. He has called you before. You've got his name before from coming here. You've come back to bring along a little product that you're hoping that his business will supply. How do you approach Mr. Trevor?
So I've sold him stuff before.
You've come to this business before and said you've got some product that you'd be interested in placing on his shelves. The man, curious enough, asked you to bring the product along and attempt to sell him on said product. And now here you are.
So this is my guy.
This is the guy.
Randy would have a confident smile. He'd stride up to the counter, or is it like a desk? Is the guy stood or sat?
A counter. He is stood. The little bell on the door rings as you enter.
Then yeah, he would walk straight in towards the counter, arms open, hands like facing out. He'd be like, Trevor, the man of endeavor. It's good to see you this evening.
Mr. Silsford, it's pleasure to see you again. Welcome to the Harbour Emporium.
Right, he like half slumps onto the counter, leaning on his elbow, looking. So he's like looking up at Trevor. And he's just like, well, of course, it's good to see me, Trevor. You know, when I'm here, you're in for a good deal.
Yes, quite, Mr. Silsford. Do a quick psychology check for me.
Psychology. Oh wait, edit mode. Psychology.
Failure. Difficult to read. He stumbles over his words a little bit and says, well, it's great to see you back. I know you said you were gonna bring some kind of product down here that we might sell in the store?
Some kind of product is not some kind of product, Trevor. This is genuine quality. Well, let me just show you. As he reaches round, takes up a nice looking briefcase, puts it on the counter, spins it round. Ooh, is that Natalie gone or
No,
Anna gone?
I'm still here.
Spins it round to face Trevor and opens up the front, and he would see inside 5 perfectly arranged little glass bottles, like a little sphere with a kitschy kind of little cork in the top, and a nice label on the front with a finely calligraphied deep jungle serum, it says on the front. What do you think?
Trevor kind of looks down and then looks back up and sort of, may I? And he's gesturing to sort of take one of the bottles just to inspect it.
Randy lurches forward and holds out a hand. He's like, whoa. Of course I want you to get a proper look at the goods, but let's be serious here, Trevor. We're dealing with potent materials, so take care. You got any work gloves or fine tongs to pick these things up with?
Do a persuade check for me.
These guys are really awesome.
Rolled 100, baby.
Oh, it didn't come up for me for some reason.
I rolled 100.
Oh, there it is. Sorry, Mr. Silsford, I don't have any of tongs or work gloves. We're a simple department store. We sell just general goods.
You have been a simple department store, Trevor, but one purchase later, tomorrow morning, you could be the finest establishment in downtown Boston. Now, seeing as you are a favored customer, I suppose I could take the risk onto myself. Now, stand back a little bit.
He sort of
Picks up
moves back
one of the little
slightly.
bottles, makes a big show of like holding it out at arm's length off to the side and uncorks it. The satisfying sound.
Mm.
Takes it up to his own nose. Has a little delicate sniff. It's like, whoo, woo-wee. Still going strong. And then holds it out towards Trevor.
He kind of leans in and smells, is it some kind of perfume, Mr. Silsford? It smells,
Nothing so banal as that, Trevor, my good man. May I call you Trev?
Trevor's fine.
Trevor it is. Trevor Endeavor. A perfume, fine, concoction for the complexion. A simple silken oil. You know how they find all the best things in the rarest places? Well, the secret ingredient here comes to you from deep down in the Amazon rainforest. Previously unknown to civilized humanity and brought to your door by Randolph Silford himself.
Do a fast talk check for me.
Oh no!
I can't roll anything.
Or you could use luck.
Oh, this is true.
Is it worth it?
I don't have much luck. That's got to be said. No, I'll leave it. I want to see where the dice take me.
Okay. Africa, it doesn't, you know, it's not, I never served anything from overseas. We serve American homemade things in here, you know. I don't want any of my customers getting scared off by something foreign.
Well, perhaps it should be... I understand the local folk. Some can be a little bit, locally minded, shall we say, but, you could, break a single bottle down into smaller parts. Perhaps they'd be more palatable as an occasional, exotic extra.
Do me another persuade check. Another failure. I don't know, Mr. Silsford. This sounds awful strange. You're losing me, I'll be honest. When you said you had product, I thought it might be, I don't know, canned fish or something.
And fish, Trevor, please. So he like flicks his the shoulders of his suit a little bit.
Oh, I don't know. I just thought with that haircut, sir, that you might be a fisherman or something.
Randolph goes bright red. Now listen here, you. I bring you exotic goods from deep inside the exotic crevices of the world, and you come back to me with fish.
Oh, do an intimidate check.
No!
This one wasn't likely.
Now, sir, I'm gonna have you to ask to leave, Mr. Silsford. This is... I'm not interested in your strange African voodoo stuff. Like I said, we sell American-made goods here, and, well, quite frankly, your demeanor is, just quite unsettling, sir.
Randolph slams the briefcase or the box down. Again, he's just like, well, harumph to you, sir. I hope you enjoy seeing my fine goods in the windows of Main Street, and you'll feel like a fool. A good day. He spins on his heel and starts walking out.
Good day, sir. And so, unsuccessful, Mr. Randolph Silsford, after a long day of trying to peddle his exotic miracle health product, arrives back at his modest apartment, tucked away in a quiet corner of the city of Boston. However, as he approached his door, he begins to notice a letter waiting for him. However, I'm going to allow you to roll a spot hidden check here, just to see if you manage to get any skill improvements.
Do
During
we need to do those?
we will in a second.
No, nice.
Well,
Jesus.
Ranfulf is just clearly, in fact, the letter, it's not so much he spotted it, but he almost tripped over it, slipped on the floor. And looking down, it is of course addressed to him, with his name neatly written on the front. Intrigued and slightly cautious, Randolph opens it, eager to discover what it contains. However, with that scene wrapped up, we will move on to our the investigator skill improvement phase of our session. Fortunately, Randolph, you're only going to get to make one check simply for your luck. But if everyone would like to open their character sheets, and if you'd like to go through from the last session, you should have a number of skills ticked off beside your skills that you were successful at. Hopefully, if you've been ticking them off. If you weren't, then unfortunately, you're going to lose them. So the way the investigator improvement phase works is we are each going to take turns rolling against that skill, and in fact you want to fail this skill. If you manage to fail the skill, you can leave it lit up for now. If you do succeed at the skill, you must untick it. I'm going to start a little initiative order, so let me just quickly write your names in.
I guess it makes sense because it's harder to get better at something you're good at.
Precisely.
Or something you're shit at. Yeah.
Whoops. Let me... Tala.
Come on, photography.
Joe Brown.
Oh, baby.
I want him
Oggy.
to have that whole stand and just do a diving shot with it.
Right, so we will start with Tala. Tala, first off, I am going to make everyone simply roll to see if they get a luck improvement. Everyone just gets this automatically at the end of a scenario. So if you'd like to roll a luck check for me, please, Tala.
whoops.
Oggy rolled very well. A failure, which actually, Oggy, that's bad. You succeeded.
Yeah.
But Tala did fail, which is good. So Tala, you can roll a d10 now.
Okie dokie. Just a straight D10.
Straight d10. A 5. You can add 5 luck points to your total luck points.
Ooh.
We'll then move on to Joe Brown, who also, if you'd like to make a luck check for me.
Okay. Do I just press luck? Is that what
Yep, just press luck. A failure. That's what you wanted. Please roll a d10 for me. 2. You can add 2 to your total luck points. Oggy, you succeeded with a critical success, unfortunately. Randolph, you do get to roll as part of this. Unfortunately. The only thing he succeeded at is the one thing he didn't need to succeed at. Unfortunately, Randolph will slip into the background a little bit here.
Yep.
However, I will say, Let me just double check what other skills you've got. What things might have been useful? I think you failed all the skills otherwise. I will allow you to make one single charm check as well to see if you can get anything in charm, just because that's a daily thing for him. A success! I will allow you to roll against your luck now.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Against your charm, which in this case is good. So now you managed to get the success in the first place, but now you need to fail your charm.
But I will wait until it's my turn.
Oh,
for initiative.
very true. So, Tala, now that we've got the luck out of the way, you can go through and I will get your sheet open for you.
Yeah.
Let's go through the first skill you've got ticked off, which is dodge. So if you'd like to roll me a dodge check.
I'm just checking in the chat log that there's none that I've missed, but I don't think there is so far.
A failure is what you...
We've been quite good at reminding each other, I think.
Yeah, the failure is good. It's what you wanted. So roll a d10.
Nice.
Excellent. Doo-ba-doo.
7. You can add
Nice.
7 points to your total dodge. I believe that's the only skill you've got. So with that, if you do find
Thank
any others that you did
I know.
succeed at, then obviously let me know. It will not include ability score ones, so any of the
No.
ones at the top.
It's pretty good though.
That is very good.
Yeah, it's a chunky number.
And it dodges as well.
Joe Brown, did you succeed at any skills during the last scenario?
Yeah.
If you'd like
My
to,
first one is first aid.
let's roll a first aid, see if you get a failure. It is a failure.
Yay.
Critical failure, in fact. I don't think it adds anything in this particular situation. I can check that in between sessions. I'm not sure right now. I'm not going to bother. A 7. You can add 7 to your total first aid
Nice.
skill. We'll go to Oggy for a second. Oggy, I think you got quite a few.
He does. Indeed, climb first.
Climb, a failure. Roll a d10 and you can add that to your total climb.
Yeah!
A 1. Very nice. Randolph, you've got a charm you can see if you can fail at. A failure. Add a d10 to your... An 8. Very nice.
Ooh, very nice.
Did get that improvement. We're back to Tala, but we'll see. Arnie, I assume you're still looking.
I've got listen as well. I've
Oh.
just come across.
A listen. If you want to roll a listen check for me then and see if you get a failure on it.
Mm-hmm.
You do. So roll a d10 and you can improve your listen by 9. Very
Holy
nice.
moly.
Joe Brown, we're back to you.
I also have listen.
Roll a listen check for me then.
Yep.
A hard success. Unfortunately, not what you wanted in this scenario. So you do not improve your listening this occasion. Oggy, we're back round to you.
Take it or leave it.
Untick it once we've rolled for it. You can untick it because we'll know what's going on with it.
Indeed. First aid.
Failure, very good. So you're failing to improve. Roll a d10 for me. You can add 4 to your total first aid. Randolph, you are done for this evening, so I will take you off.
Yeah.
Tala, have you found any more, or do you think that's probably it?
I think that might be it.
Okay, I will take you off the turn order as well, unless you find more.
Okie dokie.
Joe Brown,
I got navigate.
roll me a navigate check.
Damn it.
Not what you wanted. Harder to improve at the things you're good at.
Yeah.
Oggy also has navigate.
Failure. Naogi gets another. Well, very likely to fail at that one. So, and he improves by 2. Looking up to 12. Joe Brown. Anything else?
I got one more.
One more.
Spot hidden.
Spot hidden. It gets a failure. Roll a d10. You can add that to your spot hidden score. A 9. Very good.
Oh.
That's definitely what you want to see with a spot hidden. Very useful skill to have. And finally, with that being Joe Brown, it's just Oggy left during the
Got 3 more.
3 more.
Spot
Well,
hidden.
let's see your spot hidden. A success. No improvements this time.
The important one. Photography.
Photography, of course.
No!
Oh,
And finally, the one I'm definitely gonna pass. Yeah.
Extreme success, yeah. So,
Joe Brown not hit someone with a pistol?
He did. He blew that guy's head off.
Yeah,
He
so
killed him.
shouldn't
So he
Joe
should
Brown
have-
have a...
so you
Handgun.
should have a handgun
Handgun.
then as well, Joe Brown.
oh, okay. I didn't take it, so yeah, that was me. But did I hit?
You killed it.
You did
yeah, I
kill
thought
it,
you
yeah.
killed it. Oggy, like, super weakened it, and then you blew his head off.
It's
Oh.
true.
Okay. Well, I'll take it.
Unfortunately, yeah, no. Well, with the investigator improvement phase all wrapped up, we can proceed on to our session proper. So, let me cut away to our first scene.
I really like that.
Yeah,
Nice.
I do too. It's very engaging.
Yeah, and it's intuitive.
Nice and simple. Rumble's just meowing because Hannah didn't put enough biscuits down for it. So I'm going to just put...
Loads of bloody biscuits.
You have to put 3 little
Just a
things,
fat
otherwise
cat.
he is very fat. Right, let me just turn up my music a little bit. For some reason this is not quieter on my end for guys the other ones. There we go. Right, so... The rain cascaded from the heavens, tapping rhythmically against the window panes of the humble home. Its modest facade, clad in weathered wood, displayed the marks of time and weathering. The paint, once vibrant and fresh, had faded to a soft, comforting grey, blending harmoniously with the stormy night. A welcoming porch extended from the front, its wooden planks worn and weathered from years of use. The porch swaying gently in the wind, emitted a gentle creak with each oscillation. A flickering lantern hung by the entrance, casting a warm golden glow on the rain-soaked pathway below. Illuminated curtains framed the windows, revealing snippets of the home's interior, where a soft, inviting light hinted at the warmth within. The large, aging private detective stood at the door, his rain-soaked trench coat clinging to his broad frame. With a determined expression and a firm knock, he prepared himself for what lied within. So, Oggy, you find yourself at the house of your friend Milton Butterfield. Do you prepare yourself in any way before you know his wife Eunice is due to answer the door as you hear footsteps slowly approaching?
Before he came, he would have probably notified the police that Milton had drowned as when they were on a boating trip. Yeah, but he wants to go and tell Eunice before the police get there. He would have put his black trench coat on instead of his brown trench coat.
Mm-hmm.
He'd also be wearing a black suit with a black tie and he'd have a white crisp shirt. He would have cut his hair and like trimmed his moustache so he didn't want to go a bit raggedy. He wanted Eunice to, because she's going to know as soon as she sees him, basically.
Yeah, and after a brief moment, Eunice answers the door and says, Oggy? What are you doing here? Where's... Sorry, please go on.
Mrs. Butterfield, can I come in? We have something important to discuss.
Oh, yes, of course. I've just got dinner on the stove. please make yourself at home. I haven't seen you in ages. You haven't popped round to you and Milton.
Well, since I got his baseball card collection back, I've been very busy with my other cases. Well, should we go into the
We can,
lounge?
yeah.
Lounge?
Let's go into the dining room. I thought Milton was with you. Is something wrong? He said he was going to help you investigate a case.
Please, Mrs. Butterfield, let's sit down before I...
She starts looking quite worried, you notice, Oggy. And she sort of sits down at the dining room table and looks across the thing at you and says, please, Oggy, take a seat. You're always welcome here.
Thank you, Mrs. Butterfield. Obviously, what I have to tell you, it's not good news. Milton, perished, but he died a hero. True hero.
Wait, what? My Milty? What? Where is he? What happened, Oggy?
We were boating across to the island, and the waves were awful strong. There's me, Milton, Joe, and some broad named Tyler. He came along with us. My friend Joe Brown, he got thrown off the side of the boat in the storm. Milton tried to fish him out with his baseball bat, and after he couldn't get him, jumped in after him. He saved Joe Brown, but we couldn't get him out of the waves.
Poor Eunice simply breaks into tears, and the wetness of her tears is unfortunately far more true than the waves of your ocean in your story. You spend some time within Milton's abode, Eunice asking more questions, upset, asking about how could you let this happen. Anger turns into just pure sadness. And she thanks you for telling her what happened. And as you go to leave, Oggy, she says one last thing, and she says, Oggy, I know he'd like you to have this. And she holds out Milton's prized baseball card collection.
Well, Mrs. Butterfield, wouldn't you have fonder memories of him if you had it?
Don't say another word, Oggy. He always wanted you to have them. He always said that. I've got no interest in bloody sports. I think they'll be better off with you.
Well, Mrs. Butterfield, I'll make sure they're kept safe, and I'll even display some of them at my office in his memory.
She
even
nods.
if they are. Yeah.
That actually brings a smile to her face. And she says, good night, Oggy.
If you need anything, Mrs. Butterfield, you know where to find me.
She nods and then closes the door behind you. You can make an extra luck improvement check as a result of being given Milton's baseball card collection, Oggy.
Yeah.
Failure is what you wanted. Roll another D10.
Nice.
5 more points. So,
You're a Yankees fan.
The scene transforms to that of a dimly lit office, the air thick with a mixture of stale coffee and worn-out leather. We now find Oggy sitting behind his cluttered desk, clutching a large but mostly empty bottle of, I assume, scotch, Kieran?
Yeah. Well, American whiskey.
American whiskey. With a worn-out sigh, you begin to open a stack of letters before you, methodically scanning each one. Most were mundane, routine matters that hardly piqued your interest. However, 2 particular letters caught your attention. And each bore the name of your friend, Josh Winscott. Yet both were highly different in tone and execution. You felt that familiar curiosity stir within you as you ran your finger over the peculiar handwriting of the first letter handwritten and the typed letters of the second. We now realise this scene is almost 2 weeks later, after informing Eunice of the news. Oggy ponders the first of the 2 enigmatic letters, and then suddenly he notices a third missive that enters his grasp. The third is an invitation, quite clearly, announcing the funeral of his dear friend Milton. Your heart sinks once more as you are forced to absorb the weight of the sombre occasion. Your gaze lingers on the invitation, a mix of grief and determination etching itself on your weathered face. For now it is clear you would embark on a journey where the line between personal and professional would blur, and the mysteries before you would challenge not only your skills but also your emotions. As I will reveal to you the first 2 letters that Oggy read. The first letter from your friend Josh Winscott. If you'd like to read it aloud, Kieran.
I'll read it in Oggy's voice. Indeed. It's just loading.
Sorry, it should just be your name at the top. I just haven't put that in.
Dear Augustus, as you know, I have recently committed myself to a state hospital at Danvers for a little recuperation after my most recent foray into the supernatural. I have made a terrible error in Danvers. No, I made a terrible error in selecting Danvers. I am in great physical, mental, and spiritual peril here. That doesn't sound good. There is wrongness about this place. They will not let me leave. I must sneak this letter out to you as they read the mail here. Please come and recover me from this dreadful place. It would be wise for you to bring companions. Well, of course, I'm being a joke. As coming here alone is a mistake. Your friend, Josh Winscott. Is that meant to be typed, or is it?
No, it would be in his handwriting.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the original name is different in this scenario. So,
yeah.
Then you see the second letter. This is typed. This letter. Again, it would be Dear Augustus at the top.
Dear Augustus, please disregard my earlier letter to you. I was having an anxiety attack. Everything is fine. Do not come here. I need more rest and counselling. Thank you. Sincerely, Joshua Winscott.
Can you do a no check for me, which is an intelligence check? Or
I'm just noticing one of them he signed Josh Winscott, and the other one he signed Joshua Winscott.
I won't make you make a check then, because not only that, okay, with you noticing the difference, you know that Actually, do a note. I'll allow you to do a number of checks. If you can think of any check that would relate you to like your relationship with Josh. So psychology could be one, your understanding of him. If you can think of any other skills that your relationship with might represent your relationship with Josh, I'll allow you to roll them. If you're not sure, then intelligence is okay. Success. You remember, obviously, that you noticed that the difference between Josh and Joshua, but furthermore, you also realised that Josh actually actively dislikes being called Joshua. He never goes by the name Joshua. He always, back in the army, some folk used to, when they were teasing him, call him Joshua, and it used to visibly annoy him. Furthermore, it's very odd that Josh would use a typewriter. You know that Josh writes magazine articles and for a living. And he's made a point in the past about how he hates typewriters, he hates things, and he makes a point of making all of his notes and work for his magazine articles, and he hand writes them before he sends it off to an editor to type up for him. So it's quite strange to see a letter that is written with a typewriter or typed with a typewriter.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I definitely think he thinks that the staff have clearly written this letter, at least. And, well, what he said in the first letter, yeah. So he'd be immediately suspicious.
Quite. But with that suspicion in mind, we will cut to another scene. In the heart of Massachusetts city centre, Boston city centre, a solitary house emerges, commanding attention. The narrow streets glisten under the soft glow of distant street lamps, their illumination casting a surreal ambience upon the scene. As raindrops dance upon this weathered facade, we pan closer, our gaze drawn into this cosy dwelling amidst the bustling cityscape. Inside, we find the unassuming man known as Joe Brown, with his grandmother Jill, within his grandmother Jill's humble abode. The air brims with nostalgia as we see that both Joe and Jill engage in a lively game of checkers, whilst the happy cat Jim curls up around Joe's feet. Jill chuckles away as Joe has been entertaining her with the farcical story of the events of the previous session. Oh, Joe, that's such a silly story.
That's not a silly story. If it's all true, and it was really fun but really scary at the same time. So you wait for. I can't wait to see what the boys at the bar think. What do you think, Grandma?
Well, I think it's you should be a rider, Joe. I'd always said you got talent. You could you're better than just a taxi man. You could your granddad would have loved to see you be a she kind of loses herself for a second and then just says a penmanship. You're so good at it. Yeah, I love the story. It's really good, and I'm sure your friends down at the Bee's Knees will like it. But you make sure you keep that quiet. You know what the coppers think.
If I do know that, I don't know because my grandmother. I'm very discreet. Oh well, As much as I love the taxi driving, Grandma. I saved a lot of money for this taxi. It's how much I enjoy seeing all the people and driving them around and getting to where they need to be. They're always so happy. I see their happy faces when they arrive. Except for the commute in the morning. That's a bit different. But
As you're talking, she jung, jung, and jumps two of your things and wins the game of checkers and says, "Oh, I do enjoy distracting you, Joe."
oh, you did it again, Grandma. You're too good at that. So, well, I better go get the dinner.
Yes, let's eat. And as the ambience shifts dramatically as we enter an illicit speakeasy, a place known
Can I
as...
ask one thing first?
Of course.
Because that scene reminded me. During this time, could Augie be developing the pictures he took?
Absolutely. We will get to that in a second.
He's not going to look at what they are, really, until he gives them to Joe. So I'll just say that.
Okay, very interesting. The ambience shifts dramatically as we see Joe frequenting an illicit speakeasy, a place known as the Bee's Knees. The room throbs with the rhythm of jazz, swirling cigarette smoke and forbidden desires. Amidst the clinking of glasses and raucous laughter, we see Joe and his cohorts sit amongst one another, temporarily escaping their own burdens. Joe weaving a tapestry with his voice as he regales the group with the same tales of his exploits that he told his grandmother Jill. Each of them showing surprise at Joe's sudden onset of imagination. "Well, that is quite the story, Joe. You're really, you're something." "Yeah, you're quite something, Joe." "Where'd you make up that kind of shit anyway? I thought you was a boring taxi driver."
Oh, I'm not a boring taxi driver, and it's not a story. It's all true. Look, Joe's got the pictures on him, right?
You would not have the pictures yet, no. Oggie's not.
No, okay.
Oggie's waiting to see you.
Just you wait until I get these pictures, and I'll prove to you that it's all true. And then you'll be even more amazed.
They laugh and they clink their glasses together. One of them sort of takes their arm around the shoulder. He's like, "He's going to show us his pictures. He's got it all." And they're just sort of laughing and they're poking fun at you. And you get I think anyone else would get the impression that they more hang around with Joe, not out of a sense of companionship, but more out of a sense of communal bullying, perhaps, or communal comedic targeting.
Meanies.
Joe's world in our next scene, though, takes a chilling twist as the landscape shifts once more. Shadows of uncertainty flicker across Joe's face. He's cooking, back in his grandmother's home. Cooking noodles, a simple meal for a simple man. Yet, Joe, as you're staring into the noodles, the story of your head goes over and over, the trueness of what happened, the excitement, and then you think to the sight of Milton rushing off into the darkness, the snake-like creature that fell beneath the ground, the severed heads that lay upon the organ. And finally the black mark upon the tapestry, filled with seemingly hundreds of humanoid snake-like figures, and then you look up and see, in your mind's eye, the huge statue of a cobra, and as you look down, the noodles in the pot before you transform into writhing serpents, their sinuous forms captivating and unsettling you in equal measure. Reality blurs, doubt infiltrating your mind. You're left teetering on the precipice of your own unravelling sanity. Can you please make a sanity check for me?
Sanity.
Failure. You lose 1 point of sanity as you go back and the pot starts falling off. Can you please make a dex check for me?
Okay.
The noodles.
Success. Luckily, you grab the top of the pot, not burning yourself as you do, and throw it on back onto the thing. You scold you not literally, but you tell yourself off. Scold yourself for almost scalding yourself, almost.
Oh, all that throw around you're making they're just noodles. They're just noodles.
Your grandmother Jill walks into the said, "What's all this clatter about? You trying to spill the dinner, Joe?"
Joe kind of leans against the cabinet, a little bit exacerbated. Everything's fine, Grandma. It's okay. I just nearly dropped the noodles. It's okay. I'll make some more.
Well, make
But they
sure.
should be okay.
Well, they look fine, but just make sure you don't drop them. You hear? You don't want to burn yourself.
No, I don't like. Thank you, Grandma.
Oh, by the way, you got a letter, and she holds out a letter to you.
Oh, thanks, Grandma. I'll look at it in a minute. Are you going to bed now, or do you want some food first, or?
Well, I'm gonna eat before I sleep, Joe. I ain't some kind of weird person from one of your stories.
Well, yes, yeah.
I'll be in the lounge.
Yeah, takes the letter.
As you've weaved these stories, Joe, throughout the following weeks after your adventure, there's been a sense of denial. The moment with the noodles started fraying away at it, but all sense of it is shattered as you open the letter, as you read the sombre invitation to your dear friend Milton's funeral. In that moment, you spiral a little bit. Milton really, whilst you knew it was real, the way you told these stories, it was almost like it was a story in your head. You never really thought of what truly happened. And as you grapple with the loss and the harrowing realization of what you had witnessed was all true, you just sort of look down and drop the letter. The letter moves through, as we see as it hits the floor, it almost passes through, and we see a piece of letter crumple up and turn into a piece of trash that flies through the windy, stormy skies of Boston's night. And we see, instead, on this continually rainy evening, a young woman in her late 20s makes her way through the bustling streets, her mind set on a mission. We find Tala Ray, then standing outside Josh Winscott's apartment, before Oggy had received his letter. A feeling of mix of nerves and determination. She takes a deep breath and knocks softly on the door and waits for him to answer. When the door swings open, Tala, you see Josh looks haggard. He looks like he's been drinking, and he says, "Hey, Tala, it's nice to see. So, you're looking real nice."
Tyler, no, shut. Shit, that's my name. Josh, get out of here. I've been drinking.
He kind of looks around and he's like, "I mean, this is my home. I can do what I want in my home." I'm going to try and give him a different accent because every character's going to sound the same otherwise.
Then I'm gonna go. Call me when you've sobered up, Josh.
Wait! He kind of like holds out his arm.
What?
that stuff down there. What we saw. I everything what you know what we've been through. And I don't even
Yeah.
mean what we just saw the other day. I mean the stuff before that. It's all bringing it back up, Tyler. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm so sorry, but they're
I'm
always.
sure that's gonna cut it, Josh.
I'm checking myself into the mental hospital. I already done it.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that at least.
Yeah. Danvers. I won't be able to go to Milton's funeral. Mr. Merriweather's paying for it.
I'm sure Milton would understand the fact that you're not going to be there. He'd want you to do what's best for yourself.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Tyler. You can have this drink if you want. Do you like whiskey?
She'd just take it out of his hand and neck it.
Sorry, we should be on this scene. What it looks like. Well, I guess I'll see you around.
Yeah, I guess you will, Josh. No matter what, I still hope the best for you.
Give everyone my best. And good luck to Milton and all that and his journey and beyond. He just sort of moves back and staring into space, just sort of shuts the door behind him. And we then pan.
Before he...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say before he would get the chance, Tyler would probably get up and see him backing off and get up and give him a very brief but tight hug and then, push him out the door.
Well, he doesn't hug you back. He just sort of stares there in disbelief and he heads back into his apartment. We then pan to a gloomy afternoon where, Tyler, you discover your own envelope. The contents carrying a weight you hadn't quite anticipated. With trepidation you open it and you are also met with the sombre announcement of the funeral details, penned with a touch of formality. A mix of emotions washes over Tala as she reads the words on the card. Whilst her connection with Milton had been very brief, the shared experience had left its mark.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, we join once more Mr. Joe Brown and Augustus as we see Oggy having invited Joe to his office.
Yeah.
Presents Joe with a package.
Here we are, Joe. The photographs.
Oh, thank you. I've been telling all my bar friends, and none of them believe me.
Well, I was actually meaning to say something. I went to see Mrs. Butterfield, and I might have made up a story. So, because our story probably wouldn't be very convincing why her husband died. So, if you ever get asked, he saved you from drowning. You get that?
Okay, I've never been on a boat though, if I will say that much.
Well, just imagine it's a car, but the sea beneath it. You get the idea. You drive around all day.
So it's like a car on the water. But
Yeah, exactly.
okay.
There
I
was a
will
storm,
think
you
about
fell in, Milton went after you, got you out. But
that.
let's have a look at those. Let's have a look at those photographs, shall we?
Yeah, fair. Let's have a look. Um, have you still got them? Is it you gonna open them or?
Gives the envelope to you, Joe, once you open them.
Yeah.
Joe, you open
Joe.
the first
Yeah.
the first photo. It's a well taken photo with the flash. We flash back to the scene. Has simply just got Milton and Tala together. This one, the background slightly out of focus, not capturing what it is and beyond.
Shit.
Dang it.
But the second one, second one, is simply black. And then you pan to the next one. It's black. The next one, it's black. Every single photo, it's just black.
Doesn't make any sense.
Are you sure there's nothing wrong with your camera, Oggy? This doesn't make any sense. You're right.
I don't know how I could have done this, Joe.
Oggy, you know
everything.
there was nothing wrong with your camera. You know you got those photos. You know, you're sure. You succeeded at those checks.
Hmm.
Yet they're black.
I've used the camera since and it's worked. I don't understand. The first one I took, Milton fell over because of the flash. There's no way we shouldn't be able to see him.
This, this doesn't make any sense. And everyone's been telling me that I've been making it up this whole time, and I kind of started to believe. And then part of me didn't really want to admit that Milton had died until I got the invitation. But
Well,
maybe it was my mind making it up with these blank pictures.
he wasn't making it up, Joe. I was there with you. And so was Tala. So was Milton.
Maybe we was all just hallucinating. Maybe, well, but it can't have been because Milton. You could just see Joe is pretty confused and a bit distressed as he just sort of puts the pictures down on your desk. Okay.
I understand, Joe. What's a bunch of blank pictures gonna do anyway?
Well, I needed those pictures.
Well, there is actually something else that I wanted to talk to you about.
What's that?
The private, Josh, checked himself into a mental institution. I got a letter saying that he's trapped there. They won't let him out. Not in the medical way, in the creepy way. And he'd show Joe the letter he got.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then I got this one after, and we'd show him the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Hmm.
strange thing is, Josh never signs his name as Joshua. He never uses typewriters. He's a magazine man. He likes writing it. I think there's a bit of a mystery here. Maybe linked to what we saw before.
Well, we can't just leave him if he's trapped somewhere. That's cool and unusual. Why would they do a weird letter? And I think you're right. I think as much as I don't want to, I think I would like some answers as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna head up there after the funeral. I'd be happy if you came with me, and maybe we could get some well, if anything else weird goes on, Maybe we can get some proper pictures.
Exactly. Maybe get your camera doubly checked just to make sure this time, and maybe we can bring Tava along as well. She was pretty handy in a pinch, and
Yeah, we should.
maybe I don't know. Maybe the guild is interested. Maybe someone else has got interest in coming. Maybe from the guild.
Yeah.
Get that. I've only got 4 spaces in my taxi though, so no more than 4.
Well, we want us to go. The ones who saw what we saw. This is all linked, I think.
So I think you might be right, and yeah, I definitely want to investigate further. Yes. Well, when's the funeral? Couple days, 2 days.
It's not long away.
Yeah. Well, thank you for at least trying to get the pictures to me, Oggy. I do appreciate it. But I guess I'll see you at the funeral.
Well, I've got one thing to give you before you go, Joe. And
What's that?
he'd go over to the baseball card collection,
Mm.
and he'd pick one out that Milton liked, and he'd give it to Joe. Be like, "This is Milton's collection. Feel like somehow we all bonded. You should have one, for good luck."
Oh, thank you, Oggy. I appreciate it. You didn't have to, but yeah, he takes the card and sort of slips it into his wallet.
You can add
That's
1 point of luck to your total luck.
Yeah.
This is somehow all related. We'll work it out.
Yeah.
And
I think we will. For Milton.
Yeah, for Milton.
with that, we pan once more. To the day of the funeral. The facade of the funeral parlour was adorned with cascading black draperies and wreaths of white lilies. Inside the dimly lit chapel beckoned mourners, its pews draped in velvet and arranged in solemn rows. The attendants, dressed in sombre attire, moved with gentle footsteps, offering solace and guidance to the grieving visitors. Within the chapel, a hushed stillness prevailed, broken only by the whispers of mourners paying their respects. The flickering candles cast ethereal shadows on the walls, while the scent of burning incense wafted through the air. At the front, a dignified podium stood, awaiting the words that would honour the life and memory of Mr. Milton Butterfield. As the mourners took their seats, a profound sense of unity emerged, bridging the gap between the living and the departed. Friends, family, and acquaintances gathered, their faces each etched with sorrow. You all find yourselves here, and you all spot, including you, Randolph, a familiar face. A Mr. Rupert Merriweather, who moves up. Well, you recognise him from when you first met him at the society, before that fated day. He nods towards you first, Oggy, and then nods to you, Randolph, and makes his way up. Hello, have we met before? You look awful familiar to me, sir.
Who's he talking to?
To
Speaking to me.
Randolph,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yes, we have. You probably remember the fine Well, no, this is a solemn occasion. Yes, my name is Randolph Silsford.
Ah, yes, I do remember you now. You're the one who sold me that fine tincture, wasn't it?
That'll be the one. I'm sure it's been... no, yes, sir, I did indeed. Were you a good friend of Mr. Butterfield?
I only met him a few times, but well, he seemed like a very good man.
A few times is all it took with Milton. The world has become a darker place with his departure.
Rightly so. Well, say, Mr. Silsford, was it? Randolph. May I call you Randolph?
You may call me Randolph.
I'm something of a businessman myself. You look, after you sold me that tincture, obviously you're a salesman's in lack. I'm currently on the hunt for artifacts and such. I'm looking to bring more people into my society. And well, there's a group of folk over there who worked with they worked for me in some capacity, sponsored is more the word, alongside Mr. Butterfield, and well, I unfortunately the previous endeavor didn't go quite as planned.
Well, it is your... If it were not for the sad departure of our good friend Milton, this would be your lucky day. For I am not only a fine procurer of exquisite tinctures, but a genuine artifact discoverer.
Well, how about we say I introduce you to these fine folk? We'll see if they're still interested in doing business at all.
That sounds just fine.
Seeing Oggy and Joe, you and Tali, you see Mr. Merryweather approaching you in a dark black suit, his older, sort of hollow skin. Randolph, also, can you do a spot hidden check for me?
Ooh. Spot hidden.
Failure.
Nope.
Okay. You move up, the sort of wrinkled skin of Mr. Merryweather approaching you with this younger fellow with little bit shorter, with sort of quite gaunt and long slicked back blonde hair and a little pencil orange mustache, and Mr. Merryweather with his cane comes up and says, "Oh, it's a pleasure to see you again, Colonel."
See you too.
Was Colonel? That wasn't me making a mistake. That was me making a mistake if I got that wrong.
I think it is Colonel. Yeah.
Okay, good. And Mr. Joe Brown, and of course Tyler Ray. It's a pleasure to see you. Mr. Winscott informed me of the details of your boating expedition and what happened with poor Mr. Butterfield. I must deeply express my condolences and the small part I played in seeing you on that venture.
It's nice to see you as well. It's quite the circumstance.
Indeed. This here is Mr. Silsford, Randolph Silsford. He's a friend of mine. I hate to do this in the time of such sorrow, but since we are all gathered here on this day, he kind of leans in and says, "There are dark things in this world, Colonel, and well, I do not wish to see them. take control of it.
Joe Brown looks to Oggy. Did you tell them about the letters about Josh?
No, I haven't, but
Letters? I'm not familiar. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Mr. Silsford here, like I said, I would, despite the occasion, I would still be interested in sponsoring you, folk, to help uncover any artifacts and, well, perhaps further investigations into such boating accidents. Sort of stares directly at you, Oggy. Joe, Oggy, and Tala all do spot hidden checks.
Oggy would say, well, turns out we've got a little expedition we may be going on that involves Mr. Windscar.
Stream success, very good. We'll get to that in a second once I see all three of us. Joe Brown gets a
Just trying.
a fumble for Joe Brown. So you're sort of staring really close to Mr. Merriweather, as he's very obviously, and he's like, "Everything all right, Mr. Brown? You're getting up a little bit in my space there."
Oh, sorry, I thought I saw. He sort of like squints his eyes at his lapel. I thought I saw a spider, but no.
Well, I can assure you there's no spider. Oggy, you notice that beneath his sleeve, you see the veins on his skin. They look quite dark, sort of unusually dark. He looks, he doesn't look particularly well. Let's put it that way.
You wouldn't say anything. You just make a mental note.
Well, I would be very interested in hearing about this, of course. Mr. Winscard, obviously, he said to me he checked himself into Danvers State Mental Hospital. They're meant to have quite a fantastic reputation, as far as I'm aware.
That's right. I got a letter saying he's trapped there. And then I got another letter saying that he had a mental breakdown. But I don't believe his second letter. It's not in the character of Josh.
He looks quite surprised. He looked quite taken aback. He's like, well, I have to say I'd very much like to know if Josh is okay in there. I am helping him with the funds to stay at Danvers, so well, if he's suffering there, I want to make sure he's getting the best care he can.
Well, I wouldn't worry. We're gonna go up there. Me, Joe, Tala. Might be linked to this boating expedition we had. And looks at what's his name?
Randolph.
Randolph, and he's like, Joe does have an extra space in the car.
Well, you beat me to it, Colonel. I was going to suggest that, Randolph, if you're interested, Mr. Silsford, perhaps you would like to help out. Seems my client, my friend, Mr. Winscott, is having a difficult time at the State Mental Hospital, and then we want to go. Well, check him out and see if we can get him out of there. So, I'll be happy to pay.
No convincing whatsoever. A friend of yours, Mr. Merriweather, is a friend of mine.
Well, that's fantastic news then. I hope, like I said, I don't want to talk too much business in such a sorrow occasion, but I really hope you get to be fast friends here, and once you get old Josh out of there, Colonel, you wish him the best of luck. I'll leave you to chat with Mr. Silsford here. I've just seen some fellows over across the way that I recognise, so I best keep up appearances, as it were. And he sort of tips his sort of bowler hat and sort of goes off with his cane as you're left standing there.
Goodbye. And his eyes return to Silsford. So how do you know Milton?
He was a firm friend and a frequent customer of mine. I made some special connections in and amongst the Yankees team and managed to whisk a few special items over to poor Milton. At a
Sounds like
discount cost, of course.
we're in the same business of being friends of Milton. Retrieved
Well,
his baseball card collection.
Oh, that was you.
Indeed it was.
Well,
Right.
he was a lot brighter once he had that back in his possession.
Somehow it's come back into my possession.
Very
Anyway,
nice.
if you're traveling with us, this is Joe Brown.
Hello, good sir.
Hello, Miss Randolph. That's my name.
And this is Miss Ray.
Why, hello there.
Father would very coldly reply with, "Yes, pleased to make your acquaintance, Mr. Stilsford."
And yours, Miss Ray. Say, I don't suppose any of you. You say you're a frequent. You are a driver, Mr. Brown.
Yes, a proud driver of the good taxis of the city.
And are you pleased with the current maintenance routine you have with your fine vehicle?
I am indeed. I do it myself. Very meticulous, I am.
It's rare to find a man these days who takes care of his own vehicle. That's wonderful to hear. Excellent. Well, I am at your disposal. Should you have any questions about the he kind of pats the briefcase by his side and then taps his nose. Just you just let me know.
Well, if you're going to be coming with us, I'm just kind of curious as to what you know. If you know what you're getting yourself into, it can be kind of scary.
Oh, have no fear. I am a well-traveled and learned man. I have seen sights that you wouldn't believe, Mr. Brown. Great
Really?
creatures of the jungle, mysteries within the temple cities of the deep rainforest. It's I would explain it, but you fine American folk, I'm sure I'll have to break it down a little bit.
Have you seen creepy white ape things?
Sure. There's plenty of those white apes down in the jungles. Saw them off with a good American yell.
Sounds like you have a lot of experience. I feel a bit safe already, to be honest.
Well, that's a common thing, Mr. Brown.
What about a snake-headed man?
Like, there were some tribal folk down there who had a snake, like a shaped headdress, like a fitting to look like a cobra. He was a leader of his people, and he saw that I was a natural leader as well, and we spoke man to man, just purely with our body language, and we understood one another.
Sounds
You
like you had
Katana.
more experience than we had.
Tala?
Carla's like at this mention of this, has like stiffened up.
Well, I am a team player at all times, and I'm sure you'll find yourselves that I am quite the boon to have around. Shall we convene perhaps soon before we discuss when were you planning to head up to see Mr. Winscott?
Next week, too soon?
No, that sounds perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, like next week on the weekend.
There'll be less traffic on the weekend. No commuters.
You would know, Joe, because you're a frequent driver, obviously, that the drive to Danvers State Manor was about 35 minutes from Boston Centre.
No, easy peasy.
So,
Yes, well, if we go on the weekend, we'll avoid all the traffic. It'll be quite the breeze. Yeah, especially with the windows open.
I'm sure you can show us whatever in that briefcase on the way.
Oh, it would be my pleasure.
and so, we leave behind the urban chaos.
Wait, Oggy want to do one thing at the funeral.
Yes, go for it.
I assume there's a fake grave, right?
Yes.
It'd be before it gets like filled in with no one in it. he would have gone to near the baseball stadium and he would have bought a baseball. And he's like, "Your wife left me with your Yankee baseball card collection. I know you're not down there, but I think you should have this." And he like drops in a baseball which has got Red Sox written on it in his pen.
Oh, that's really sweet. I love that. Well, with that in mind, we do leave behind. Oh,
wait.
Joe, I keep getting caught by people. It's fine. Go ahead, Joe.
Wait. I just thought that Joe would have brought some homemade brownies and put them on the grave as well.
Joe Brown's
No one
brownies.
likes, but he brought some brownies.
Amazing. Wow. Unless Tala's got something she'd like to do as well.
No, I don't think so. Sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine. Well, we leave behind the urban chaos and we join the group upon a road that winds through the serene countryside, revealing quaint farmhouses and sleepy towns along the way. Let me just see if I've got different music for this. Not 100% sure I do, but let's try this one maybe. Oh no, that's not ideal. Let's switch to... Let's just go with this one for now. So, nature's embrace paints a tranquil backdrop with rolling meadows and majestic trees passing you by. A sense of anticipation and trepidation filled the air as your journey continues. You wind your way up the rural hillside, passing through the imposing iron gates. A sense of foreboding that hangs in the air. And I will switch over to Sightsee, which actually I had different music prepared for anyway, so that's fine. The sprawling hospital at Danvers emerges before you, its architecture sending shivers down your spine. The central building, crowned by a tower, stretches out like the wings of a bat, its angular wards extending on either side. The complex is surrounded by auxiliary structures and clusters of trees, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The once picturesque landscape, adorned with broadleaf and evergreen trees, loses its allure under a leaden sky. Your gaze falls upon a large oval reservoir nestled on the western slope of Hathorn Hill, its waters bearing an eerie hue, a peculiar metallic blue-grey sheen that sends a chill down your spine. As you shift your attention, a semicircular amphitheatre comes into view, perched on the eastern slope of the hill. Its newness contrasts sharply against the backdrop of the reservoir's shore, leaving you with a lingering sense of unease. Can I have everyone make me a POW check, which is one of the abilities at the top of your score? POW, P-O-W. It's one of the abilities at the top of your power check. Ooh, it's extreme success for Randolph. Very interesting.
The most powerful.
I just need one from Miss Tolleray, I believe. Success. Okay.
Sorry, I think it's doing it.
No, that's fine. Those who just got regular or hard successes, so Joe and Tala, you get this visceral sensation of like palpable dread, and you both lose a single sanity point. You just get this uneasy feeling and just you don't like it. You don't like it here.
Is this from the total? So like the total thing?
Me
out
and
of 99?
and
No, not from your total. This is just from your current sanity points. You don't ever take it off your total unless I say.
is this me?
So I'm confused, Hannah. What are you trying to say? You lose a single sanity point, so you should have something less out of 99. You shouldn't be taking it from the total 99.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, makes sense. And that is you as well, Tala. Sorry, Anya. Yeah, you will lose a single sanity point. However, Randolph succeeding with an extreme success on a power roll. You also get this, but you also feel a disconcerting thought. As you approach, you get this weird fucking sensation that the asylum itself, you just get this impression that it's somehow aware of your presence and does not like you being here. Each vacant staring window appears like a cold, soulless eye boring into your most private thoughts. You lose 3 sanity points.
Good start.
Yeah.
Alright.
Was that Oggy?
No, that was you.
That's
That was
you.
you. You got the extreme success.
Ah, shit!
Yeah, yeah, Oggy was fine. He got a failure.
You failing successfully?
It's just like, oh, sweet, this is a big building. The rest of you got a sense of something more.
Oh, this is a scary place.
We're scared of
why.
Joe. You're scared you're going
Why?
to come out with a straitjacket, grab you, and never let you out?
Well, now that's a new one. Oh no.
You're way too sane, Joe. Don't worry about it.
If it's just a building, though, we'll be fine.
Yeah, it's a building that's looking at us.
It's looking at us.
Huggy just turns around like, what?
Can't you see it? Look! Left eye, right eye, big mouth at the front.
Mr. Silver, I know you've seen some things, but maybe you're just more attuned to this sort of thing.
It's alright, I will be the watchful eye for the rest of you. Just, don't stand still inside it. It might chew you up and spit you out.
I've been in worse places than an asylum. Not many, but one or two.
Never been in an asylum. I don't think I've ever been in a building that big either.
Well, why don't we take a little stroll inside?
Okay, well, let's make sure we're all prepared. Better than last time. I've
I'm just
filled the boot with, or the trunk with lots of stuff.
I just want to make you all aware. When I approach whoever is in there, I'm just going to show them this first letter. I'm not even going to mention the second one.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. But then, yeah.
Okay. As you step into the interior of the central administration building, there's an overpowering antiseptic scent that assaults your senses. The air feels heavy, clinical. Your eyes scan the room, taking in the very sterile environment. There are freshly mopped floors that glisten under harsh fluorescent lights, as if trying to mask the despair that lingers in the air. Move you over to here.
Oh god, it's like Ratchet.
Your gaze falls upon the windows. Their frames are all covered in forbidding grillwork. Beyond the metal bars, the outside world seems almost distant and unreachable. You see a few patients that beyond the current room that are clad in drab gowns, and sitting slumped in wooden chairs. Their expressions vacant, lost in their own internal battles. Some shuffling aimlessly, their movements devoid of purpose or direction. However, your attention turns to the stern figure of a desk nurse, her features etched with an unwavering severity. Behind the reception she sits, her eyes surveying the room, with a mixture of vigilance and detachment. Her presence seemed to embody the rigid structure that governs this place. How do you approach?
I think Oggy, he'd walk pretty stridently up to her and be like, "Good afternoon, miss."
Welcome to Danvers State Mental Hospital. How may I assist you?
Well, you have a patient here, and me and my friends, my name's Augustus Nadgett. This is Mr. Brown, Miss Ray, and Mr. Silford. We went through quite the experience with this patient of yours, and I got this awfully concerning letter, and he put it down. We just thought we'd come up and check he was all right.
She just stares at you for almost a second too long, and then looks down at the letter and then reaches for it and pulls it slowly close to her and lifts down her glasses to the reading part of them. Reads it and then hands it back, and she just says, "Yes, there is a Mr. Josh Winscott staying here. How do you know the patient?"
I served with him in the First World War. I mean, the Great War. No,
And the rest of you?
We're friends with Josh.
Yeah, he's an old family friend. I've known him since I was a child.
I consider Josh one of my closest friends in, well, the whole world.
Mr. Winscott is not receiving visitors right now. Only family can request access.
I am family. We have an understanding.
Make a persuade check, Tala.
Not me. It was true once upon a time. Would that lend any credence to the words, Natalie?
What was that, sorry?
The fact that they were once engaged, does that give me any kind of boon to this?
Do you say that to the nurse?
No, I'm saying this to you because do I get it as like extra? Can I be extra persuasive because we were actually once engaged?
I'll put it this way: if you mention that you were engaged, then I will give you a bonus die. But if you don't, then I won't.
I think she would. I think she would. We were going to be married at one point.
Yeah. Click the bonus die button just on the where it says failure, like just below that. A 43 is a success. With that, she says, "And your name?"
Tell him Miss Rathbone's here to see him.
Very well. You may all come to see the superintendent, Dr. Berger, and perhaps Miss Rathburn. Was it Rathburn? Sorry, Ganya. Rathbone, sorry. Perhaps Miss Rathbone, he will allow you to have visitation rights with Mr. Winscott. She gets up from the desk and sort of gestures for you to follow her.
Yeah.
Randolph would lean over to Joe Brown and just be like, "Didn't she say her name was Tala Ray?"
He did. I think she might be doing a sneaky, so he puts his finger up to his lips.
Yeah, he'd tap his nose.
All of you can do a spot hidden check as well.
This place is fucking creepy.
You've just watched that TV show too many times, Kieran.
I have anything with mental institutions, like,
Yeah.
just so we're clean of it. Well, they're creepy in different ways, aren't they?
I
like it
20s.
clean.
Both Oggy and Joe, as the nurse turns, you notice something strange about the side of her head. You notice that her left ear appears to have been chewed or perhaps torn away.
Ooh.
Neither Tala nor Randolph noticed this, however.
I think, like, how torn is it? Is it bleeding? Is it?
Not current. No, it's definitely not fresh. It's
No.
It's scarred over. It's peeled over, but it's torn away.
I think Augie, seeing that, he'd be like, "Do patients ever get violent here?"
Only those in the most extreme wards do we keep our violent patients. We are currently in the low security wards. However,
Whereabouts is Josh being kept?
he is in J ward, our highest security ward.
What did he do to get put in there?
Mr. Berger, Dr. Berger will discuss Mr. Winscott's case with you. I am not permitted to disclose such details. So you follow this nurse down the corridor and you step into the superintendent's office, which I'll move you over to. Your eyes are immediately drawn to the array of framed accomplishments adorning the walls. Diplomas and certifications speak of a person who has spent years honing their expertise. The room is filled with an air of authority and knowledge. Your gaze then shifts to the expansive desk, cluttered with papers and documents. It's clear that the superintendent's responsibilities are weighty, with the desk serving as a command centre as such for the administrative affairs of the institution. There's file cabinets overflowing with records that stand as a testament to the countless lives intertwined within the hospital's walls. Yet amidst the professional trappings, your attention is captured by a rather unsettling painting that hangs prominently on the wall. It depicts something odd. You could all do a no check quickly for me. I'll also give Kieran a bonus die for this.
No.
Watching?
Just do a no check. Oh, yeah, so intelligence. Sorry, a knowledge. A no check is always an intelligence check to see if you know something. Okay, gets a success.
Do you get to keep it if you roll the bonus?
Yes, you do, yeah.
Okay.
Just see if you get a better extreme success and a hard success for Oggy. Both Tala and Oggy, and why I gave you a bonus dice, Kieran, will particularly become apparent. The painting depicts the familiar tale of St. George and the Dragon, but with a macabre twist. The dragon, with jaws dripping with blood, savagely mauls St. George, while the lifeless body of his horse lies in tragic repose nearby. The painting is meticulously detailed and unabashedly gruesome, leaves an inedible mark on your psyche, hinting at the darkness that resides beneath the surface of this institution. The superintendent sort of does his tie slightly, and you see behind the desk there is a stern, unfriendly looking man in his late 30s. He's dressed in a white lab coat with an officious looking clipboard. The nurse sort of directs you to the seats that sit opposite. There are currently 2 sitting there, so 2 of you will have to stand.
Oggy would pull the chair up for Tala. And then he points to a chair and he's like, "Go on, Joe, you sit down."
Oh, why thank
Oh.
you.
What instead of Tala?
No, he put out the other chair. He'd pull one out for Tala.
Why, thank you, Mr. Butterfield. I mean, Mr. Magic.
It's no problem. You are the
Before anyone says that, I did that on purpose.
I know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you are the fiancé of the patient.
You needn't take that tone with me, Mr. Magic. There's a nugget of truth to what I said.
I know.
Welcome all of you to Danvers State Mental Hospital. I am Dr. Berger. How may I help you?
Well, did she give the letter back?
She would have, yeah.
I received this quite concerning letter, and us being all friends of Mr. Winscott, are very concerned about him, and especially Miss oh God, what was her name? Miss Rathbone here, who was engaged to Mr. Winscott at one time. And he told out the letter to him.
He takes it and again moves his reading glasses down to read it, and he says, I'm actually going to change those voice slightly. I'm trying to differentiate the voice a bit more. The patient you describe, Mr. Winscott, is currently most excitable and assigned to the facility's J ward, a place reserved for the most violent male patients. I'm afraid no visitations are allowed at this time.
What sort of facilities do they have access to in J ward? Is he being kept well?
He is in his own private room.
Is it well furnished?
It is, by necessity, quite threadbare. For patients in this particular ward are at risk of harming themselves.
Well, then I find it a bit strange that I received a second letter typed with a typewriter from Joshua Winscott.
Oh?
Yeah, he'd pull it out and show him.
You see, sir, Josh would never call himself Joshua. I know this.
I mean, from what you say, he shouldn't have access to a typewriter.
It appears that perhaps one of our administration staff has mistakenly sent this letter and signed it without informing me first. But I can assure you that all my staff would have the patient's permission. They likely made the clerical error of typing his name as Joshua rather than Josh, if that is what he prefers.
Still, with this information, I think Miss Rathburn here would like to see Mr. Winscott. This is all very concerning.
Make up a sway check for me, Oggy.
Oh yeah, mind games.
Failure.
Oh,
Like I said before, currently I cannot allow for Mr. Winscott to receive any visitation. He is most excitable, and he is currently suffering from general paresis of the insane, otherwise known as neurosyphilis. Anyone who wants to can make either a medicine or psychology check to see if they know what that is.
Carla would probably
Would have to be specifically medicine, Oggy, just so you know. Because
yes, okay.
first aid is like you treating it, medicine's like knowledge of it, if that makes sense.
I would have failed to roll anyway.
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
Hard success for Randolph, though. Randolph, you know that that neurosyphilis was a condition in the 1920s, particular before like antibiotics were moved into sort of circulation, were caused by late-stage syphilis affecting the brain. It manifests itself with delusions and hallucinations and other neurological and psychiatric symptoms. With a hard success, though, you think that's a fucking pretty common diagnosis for someone who's been locked up in J ward.
You definitely speak up. Now, see here, Dr. Berger, excuse me. As a medical practitioner myself, I have to say that having a patient in maximum security for a simple diagnosis of neurosyphilis seems to be a gross overreaction. I would hate for the local medical board to have to come down here and see that you were abusing your power over these poor folk.
I'll let you choose what role you want to make here, because I think all can be applied in different ways. You're calling in sort of the law to some degree, medicine as well. You're calling on a diagnosis, but also intimidate makes a lot of sense. So whichever one of those you want to roll, you can do so and attempt to do what you were doing. In fact, I'll give you a bonus die because I thought that was quite good.
Oh,
Bonus
Gonna need
die.
that bonus die to be a 1.
Yeah, unfortunately. He says, I can assure you, Mr. sort of gesturing to get your name, Randolph.
Silford.
Mr. Silford, that we here at Danvers operate within the highest degree of the law, and I can assure you that we are not breaking any laws, and Mr. Winscott is dealing with a particularly dangerous case of neurosyphilis. He is suffering, particularly manifesting delusions of harming himself and others and hallucinations. This letter you received, Mr. Nadgett, is must have been sent at the early stages of the disease.
Now, Doctor, if we cannot see Mr. Winscott, would you at least give us a tour of the facilities to make sure they're up to the standard we expect for our friend?
Do a persuade check for me.
Try talking on you.
Do I use 24 luck?
Hello?
I don't.
Hello, can hear
No.
Anya now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
That's quite a lot.
Oh, sorry, you couldn't earlier on. I was saying something that Tala was going to do a couple of times, and I was like, okay, no.
Oh, I couldn't hear it that at all. I'm sorry, I wouldn't have. What did you want to do? We can.
It was ages ago, it doesn't matter.
Oh no, we can cut back. It's fine. What did you want to do?
No, it was only that, Tala would, try and do her fluffing her hair and batting her eyelashes thing and be, fake sad and be like, please.
Yeah,
help."
absolutely. Make me a charm roll, or charm or fast talk, whichever one you prefer.
Okay. I'm sure that seeing me would certainly help to raise Josh's spirits, if nothing else.
I'll add a bonus die as well because you've missed out on that, and also,
right.
so you could spend a bonus die. I got both 62 under 65, a regular success.
That's fair.
He doesn't seem to react to your you trying to charm him so much, but the rest of you can see that it won't require a check. He seems to more just be slightly irritated by Tala's continued sort of crying and emotional outburst, and he says, since you are family, Miss Rathbone, I will allow a brief visitation with you alone, and I'm afraid, Mr. Nadgett, I cannot offer a tour of the facility at this time.
At
Well.
this time, when else?
What was that, Mr. Brown?
You said you can't at this time. That means you can at some time, right? When?
I will allow you to book in with our registrar. I'm sure our next available viewing will be in perhaps a few months.
Well, sort of looks around. Doesn't look that busy for me.
I can assure you my time is extremely limited. You are lucky to find yourselves with a moment that I have available.
Oh.
Oggy would quickly point at the painting. That's an interesting piece you got up there, Doctor.
He sort of looks at you, Yogi, and just sort of says, yeah, it is quite the piece, is it not?
You wouldn't get away with that in many places.
It is quite the artwork, I believe. It is an unusual depiction, but the attention to detail is meticulous. I do
Much
enjoy meticulous detail in my art.
Much of a connoisseur of the arts.
In my spare time. But please, I am, like I informed Mr. Brown, a very busy man. I will allow 10 minutes from now for you to see Mr. Winscott, Miss Rathbone. Follow me. The rest of you, Nurse Thornfield here will escort you back to the reception area.
I just want to get a quick look at that painting to see the author. It is beautiful, even though it is profane.
You have a look on the painting, okay? It doesn't seem to be a signature on it, curious enough.
Do you know the artist?
It escapes my mind, in fact. Apologies, Mr. Nadgett.
Seems pretty unlikely that something you just gave such high praise you'd forget the artist, but I thought you were meticulous with detail, Doctor.
He sort of doesn't... He doesn't react. He says, 9 minutes remaining.
Oh. You tell us how he is, Tara. Spend as much time as you can with him and let us know.
He shows you to the front of the door, Tyler, and he says, "My 2 orderlies here will escort you to J Ward with Mr. Winscott."
Sure, Joe can't go with them. 2 burly men with a woman doesn't sit right with me.
Roll me a hard persuasion check, okay?
As
You're
he
pushing it
does
out.
that, if we look around the room and we see all these, what are they? Certificates and things. Do they all look legit?
Do
as far
a
as-
spot hidden check. They're at a distance, so
Yeah.
hard to tell from a distance. But
Doctor's a fucking stone wall.
you're not sure, Joe. They're too far away.
Yeah.
98 is actually a fumble, Oggy. So Dr. Berger says, "Any more attempts to..." "No, in fact, I'm afraid, Mr. Nadgett, I will have to see you escorted off the premises. Your continued prodding and poking to gain access to the J Ward is worrying me. Perhaps you wish to harm Mr. Winscott in some way. I will still allow his wife, fiancée, to see him briefly, but I do not feel comfortable with you being on these premises. So please, these 2 orderlies will show you out, and you see 2 more
I
large
don't need to
belly
be
men.
escorted out." And he would screw up the second letter, chuck it on the floor, and just storm out.
Okay. The rest of you are free to wait in the reception area. Miss Rathbone, you have 8 minutes remaining. Please follow the orderlies.
With a desperate look, to the others, she would follow the orderlies.
Okay.
Say hi to Josh for me.
So
It's a very hard look.
Oh,
Sorry.
Bella's got a weapon now.
as you advance through the wards, Tala, the atmosphere grows increasingly oppressive, mirroring the severity of the patient's conditions. Can you do a quick psychology roll for me?
Sorry, I closed the thing by accident.
It's okay.
Oh, yep. I see it.
Failure. You're not sure.
Yep.
The sights and sounds assault your senses. They envelop you in a disorienting symphony of anguish. Shrieks, sobs, and fits of manic laughter reverberate down the dimly lit corridors, punctuating the heavy air with an unsettling cacophony. I'll just quickly move you over to... Oops, I've actually forgot to make this page, so I'll quickly do this. Bear with me 1 second.
I guess getting chucked out a mental asylum's better than getting chucked in a mental
Yeah,
asylum.
I had exactly that thought.
Bear with me 2 seconds, or I quickly... I wouldn't want to put Hannah's art she helped me create for this with her AI stuff to waste.
No waste. You need it.
No, I mean, I forgot to upload one of them.
Oh.
Just quickly doing
Sorry,
it now.
I'm in a bad
Right, there we go. Right, there we go. So, the smell here, Tala, it permeates the ward. It's a pungent mixture and an amalgamation of bodily fluids and the harsh scent of cleaning agents that struggle to mask the underlying odours. It's a feeble attempt. The stench of urine and feces just lingers, a constant reminder of the suffering that fills these walls. As you pass through the metal doors, a haunting sight greets your eyes. The patients within J Ward bear the marks of profound affliction. They are locked up in individual rooms, but they are all with grates, as you can see, on each door. And looking through, you see figures devoid of fingers, hands, or even limbs. Beyond one metal door, a figure with weeping, empty eye sockets gazes out, their silent gaze evoking a raw, wordless despair. Even among those who are less visibly afflicted, long scars and deep gouges mark their flesh. I need you to make a sanity roll as well.
Okay.
And then also a con roll after that.
Oh, good. Sanity. Oh, for God's sake. And a con.
I can see how quickly Cthulhu can go balls up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? He can just pull his gun out and be like, "No,
Sanity success, you don't lose any sanity points. Constitution extreme sex, very good as well.
Nice.
You were taken to the cell J12, where one of the orderlies knocks on the door and then slides open the lock on the thing, and inside you see Josh sitting there looking rather haggard. He lacks the horrible disfigurements displayed by many on J Ward. He looks up and he looks quite heartened to see you, but you can tell he's wary of the guards hovering nearby.
Josh?
Tyler? It's great to see you. Please, come in. May we... He looks to the orderly and says, "May we have a moment?" And he kind of they look down at him and then sort of close the door and you hear a lock behind it. But, oh no, well, actually, would they do that? No, they would in this case, yeah. So you are left in a room with Josh alone.
How are you, Josh?
He leans in really quietly. He says, "Not good. Something's really wrong here, Tara.
What do you mean?
Me and the other patients we're kept like prisoners here. Everyone's scared of the orderlies and the other staff, especially Dr. Berger. I was originally, when I checked myself in, I was housed in a less secure block with open wards. I was allowed to walk around and talk to other patients. But I when they started treating us that way, I asked to leave, and that's when they consigned me here. I'm a prisoner, despite I admit it myself.
Well, they were never going to let you leave if they thought you were still sick, Josh.
There's something really wrong, though. It's not right here. Why? I was only the lowest security patient. I admitted myself. I don't understand why I'm in the highest security ward.
I don't know, Josh, but we're going to get you out of here, I promise.
Dr. Berger threatened me. He said...
What?
He said something weird. He said when I said about wanting to leave, he said I was in for quite an experience when the sky prepares to welcome the new moon. That's what he said.
What does it mean, Josh?
I don't know, but I'm filled with dread, Tyler. I want to get out of here. Please get me out of here.
Take his hand. We're gonna try our hardest, I promise.
Thank you. There's a patient on the ward, in H ward. McBride, they call him. He's as touched as the others, but I think he knows what's really going on here. If you could talk to him, you might learn something.
I mean, Josh, it took a lie to get us into here. Just to see you, and you're somebody that we know. We can't just pretend that we know this McBride character.
I know. He's a big fella. When you pass back through the wards to get to Dr. Berger's office, there's when you pass through H ward, he's a big fella. He's about 6'5". He's quite large. I don't know, maybe you might see him. That's one of the wards that they let you walk around in. He's like balding. You wouldn't be able to miss him.
But what am I supposed to ask him, Josh?
I don't know if you can. I don't know. It's just I thought it might help.
I hate to see you like this. After everything, I still hate to see you like this. We gotta get you out of here.
Please, Tyler, I don't. That Dr. Berger, I don't trust him one bit. I'm worried they're gonna do something to me. To all the prisoners here. There's something wrong in this place, Tyler. Ever since I arrived, I just felt it in the air. Something don't quite feel right. Do you feel it? You know what I mean? Am I just going crazy?
Don't say that. They'll try and keep you in here as longer than you have to be here.
Tyler, you would get that same from when you originally entered that POW role. You got that same feeling of unease about the place that Josh is describing. You recognise what he's describing. It doesn't sound like he seems perfectly sane to you.
I don't think you're crazy, Josh.
Thanks, Tyler.
You can't be here telling people you think you are going crazy, because otherwise they're never going to let you out.
I won't, but I don't think they're going to let me out either way, Tyler. I really don't. You gotta get me out of here. You gotta... just do whatever you... And then you hear the door slide open, and one of the orderlies just says, "Time's up."
But come on, it's my fiancé. We gotta have a little longer, please.
He shakes his head. "Time's
Please,
up."
sir. Have you never loved anybody in your whole life?
Do a hard charm check. Or persuade if you'd like.
Mildly charming. Oh, yeah, I'm getting out to do this stupid thing. Charm. Woo!
He shakes his head once more. Just raises his voice very slightly. "Time's up."
She turned to Josh and take both of his hands, and even though I'm imagining they're probably pretty grimy, she kissed them and be like, "Don't worry, this won't be the last time you see me." Milton's not there. Milton's dead. Sorry. Augie and Joe and another friend of yours, a guy called Randolph. They're all out there waiting for you. We're all rooting for you, Josh. We're gonna get you out of here. I promise you.
He's just nodding, but he's gone quiet as he's looking at the orderlies, quite frightened.
Look at me.
"Time's up." Go, Tala. I'll see you again. And they slam the door behind you as you walk out. And they begin slowly escorting you back through the halls of Danver. Let me quickly double check something. Where is it? So as you're passing back through the wards, you notice a patient. Now we're walking through from J into what's before J? A B C D A E F G H I. Sorry, I can't do it backwards. As you're going through I ward, you see a patient runs up to you and slams you up against the wall. He grips you by your shoulders with vice-like hands, angrily screaming, "What do you know? What do you know?" And then the orderlies quickly intervene, like roughly hauling the patient out of sight. One of them just starts beating him with like a truncheon, and the other one just starts walking alongside you. There are no apologies or explanations offered by the sullen staff. You just continue walking back through the wards. You do arrive in H ward. I will allow you to make a spot hidden check.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. I keep minimizing it and then forgetting I've done it and then going back into the game.
If you double click it at the top, it'll just minimize it, and then you can double click it again.
Forgetting that I've done it though.
Oh, okay, that's fine. A success. Within H ward, you see a particularly large man, quite broad-shouldered, bald. The only of those you see. It is the man you think this is the man described, McBride. If you wanted to try and do something, you could, but obviously very difficult.
Does anyone have any suggestions?
I would have no idea if it was Oki.
Nope.
Literally none. She would pretend she knows him and try and like run over and be like, "Oh, Mr. McBride, so good to see you."
The orderly's like quickly moving up behind you, because you managed to rush off within. As you do, no, I don't think you need me to make a check for this because you just suddenly bolted up to this guy, and the orderly is currently rushing up behind you, and but you've got a quick second. So what did you say? You said,
Mr. McBride, so good to see you.
And you've got after that he kind of looks at you slightly confused and says, "You know me?" And you've got probably a second to say something.
What's happening with Josh? What's happening in this place?
I'm gonna check something. Do a quick. I'm just gonna say it's. Unless you can think of a better skill, I'm just gonna do a persuade check. It's not necessarily persuade per se. Actually, I'll look at your top abilities. Actually, see if that makes any more sense.
Oops.
What we do, we get Joe's car.
Actually, no.
Drive it through the window.
This makes perfect sense because I haven't actually been using this very well. This thing, there's a thing in Cthulhu where you're trying to make an impression on someone. You either usually roll your appearance ability, and that usually influences how people interact with you or see you. Alternatively, and you can use credit rating. This is another way of you can roll your credit rate to see how people perceive you. In this case, though, credit rating's not going to make any difference. These people, obviously in a mental asylum, probably not going to care how sort of fancy you look. But appearance, definitely. So roll me an appearance check to see how McBride reacts to you and what he says.
Where?
It should be at the very top of your sheet. One of your main stats.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I forgot about this rule. I'm meant to be doing it more often. Failure, unfortunately. You had a very good appearance check, but he kind of just looks confused and he's like, Wait, what? And before you have a chance, the orderly just literally grabs your hand and just starts yanking you away.
No, please, he's a friend of my father's. I didn't know he was here.
God, no. I don't think a persuade check would even work in this case. He just continues dragging you away, and he's very strong.
To be fair, so is Tala.
What was that?
Says
To
Tala.
be fair, so is Tala.
Very true. Make a strength check for me then, if you like to pull back.
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a good idea, so maybe I wouldn't.
If you don't want to, yeah, it's up to you. If you want to do you want to try and resist this orderly within the middle of the asylum, or do you not want to?
I don't think it will help us get back in again if we try and do that.
Okay. Then you are pulled back through, and then once you get into the next ward, he sort of lets go of you. Once you're moving back to the next ward, Tala, you pass a patient. Now, within Beyond H ward in A, B, C, D, E, F, G ward, you pass a patient who is scrawling with chalk upon the wall tiles. The image is that of an obscene creature. You didn't notice it before in the first way through, but the creature's like a dragon-like toad with a multitude of eyes.
Ugh.
A short time later, you're passing through F ward, and you pass another patient who is drawing an eerily similar creature on a sketch pad. Still later, you move back almost in C ward now, and you spot an orderly who is wiping bloody smears off a door. The smears appear to be a drawing suggesting the same creature. Make a sanity roll for me.
Mm-mm. I don't know if that's just worked or not. Oh.
A failure.
Well,
You lose 2 points of sanity.
great.
And I would like to remind everyone, if you want to start tracking how much you've lost in total during this new scenario, would reset your indefinite insanities back to whatever it was out of your thing. So Randy is out of 3 out of how many for you, Randy?
Out of what?
So it should say you're
19.
19. Okay. Oggy's 1 out of 19, 2 out of 19, and I believe
3.
3 for Tala. So it's alright. Tala, 3 out of 19. Cool. Just so we know. However, eventually you are brought back to the reception area, and you see Joe and Randolph are waiting for you. Would Joe and Randolph have been doing anything during this time?
Well, we're just in the reception area, aren't we?
Yeah, you're just waiting in the reception area.
Randolph would 100% have been badgering the receptionist about trying to hawk his wares.
Oh, brilliant. Just roll a charm or fast talk. No, fast talk's more appropriate. Fast talk roll.
Yeah.
She just doesn't seem interested at all, and she just keeps sort of ignoring you for the most part, to be honest.
Yeah, he gets frustrated eventually, then like slumps down next to Joe. It's just like, wasted on these Philistines, Joe.
I don't know how you deal with being so invisible.
They certainly don't seem very responsive. I don't know if you noticed though, he sort of talks to you a bit more quiet so she can't hear. Did you notice he's got a weird injury on, was it on her head, the side of her head?
It's on her ear. It looked like her ear had been like partially ripped off or chewed off.
What do you think could have done that?
Oh. I mean, not to be an insensitive fella, but we are in a place of strange urges and potentially violent behavior. Could have been
I
a
suppose so.
patient.
Hmm.
Either that or her and her man are into some real kinky things.
Hmm. Maybe. I don't know. Well, it just struck me as well. I suppose you're right though, it could just be a patient. Hmm.
Did you have other ideas?
Well, no, none that are a bit outlandish, I suppose.
Maybe we should ask her.
Oh no, I couldn't be so rude. What
Ah.
if she gets insulted?
She's been plenty rude to me. He stands up. Hey, lady!
She sort of looks up at you once more, rolling her eyes slightly.
How in the hell did you get that happening to your ear?
She looks very irritated as you bring this up. She sort of curtly says, "Hazards of the job, sir."
Patient chewed it off?
Hazards of the job, sir.
I would have thought you'd get some kind of compensation for something like that.
I am not permitted to discuss such things, sir.
Well, I see. Took the hush money, huh?
She doesn't reply.
Turns around and shrugs at Joe.
While Randy is having a conversation, can Joe try and sneak a peek through a window?
Where into? Like outside?
Just anywhere that's open that you can see into.
It'd be pretty closed off, so there would be like an area beyond where you can sort of see patients that's beyond the reception area behind it, sort of open like a door, like those two sort of doors on that side.
Yeah.
But I would say probably a hard spot hidden roll.
Yeah.
That's what you'd have to get. No, unfortunately.
Oh,
you could use a luck.
But you need a hard roll,
Oh,
so you'd have to use. Oh, you did. Yes, that's right. So you would just need one point of luck if you wanted to.
Yeah. Do it.
Okay, 1 point of luck. In that case, then, just quickly check my notes. Joe, you look beyond into one of these rooms, and you notice that it's like a bathroomy kind of section beyond this door. And you look beyond, and you're staring really tightly, and there's a sink, which you can see has got like a pool of fetid water, almost filled to the top. And as you're staring, you swear you see something like a tentacle move up that is much too large for such a small pool, and then slithers and then submerges into the water out of sight. It's only a moment's glimpse, and that's all you just see the surface of the pool ripples as if something did disturb the water. Make a sanity check for me.
Oh, definitely make a sanity check. Could be not great. Yep.
No, that is a failure, so you do take 1 point of sanity loss. And furthermore, since you got a hard success on your spot hidden, you do notice that the water itself has this odd blue-grey tint that defies explanation and chemical analysis. You just notice that odd blue-grey tint about it.
Wait, what? Blue-grey tint.
The water itself.
Oh,
It was like this blue-grey tint.
okay. Joe just kind of like rubs his eyes and looks again. Did I just... No. Maybe. No. Good. No. And he sort of just walks away from the window, waiting for Randy to come back to sit next to him.
Okay. At that point is when Tala re-emerges with one of the orderlies. But meanwhile, we'll cut to Oggy outside. Oggy, are you doing anything outside whilst you...
Yeah, Oggy would have been fuming. He'd be like, "Kick me out. Kick me out of a mental asylum. I'll show them." And he'd go to open his little box, get a cigar out. He's like, and then he'd go to Joe's car, get his camera out the back,
Mm-hmm.
and it's parked outside the gates, right?
It is, yeah.
He'd set up his tripod outside of the gates and get a picture of the asylum.
Okay.
He's just like, meticulous my ass.
Just do a photography check for me.
No.
We'll wait and see how that turns out.
I guess, seeing as he's been kicked out, he would he'd do, while she's in there, he'd do a little, walk around the perimeter, see if he notices anything.
Yeah, just do me just a general spot hidden check to see if you notice any extreme success. Your attention is once again drawn to that of the reservoir that sits nearby.
Okay.
The reservoir itself, it's... Let me just get my notes up.
Is the reservoir in the gates or outside the gates?
It's outside the gates, just down the eastern slope of a hill slightly. You notice the same thing. You noticed it before when you came in, but you notice it before, now with Joe having spotted this blue-grey sheen, this tint to the water. Now you're sure of it. Joe's not told you this. This is a separate thing you've noticed on your own. But the reservoir itself has this metallic blue-grey tint to it, and you don't like it. You don't know why. You just don't like it.
Get out his notebook and write that in, and just lean against a car waiting for everyone else.
Okay. Eventually, Tala, you come out and you see Randolph and Joe waiting for you. What do you do?
Give them like a wide-eyed look. Not say anything more than that, really.
You planning to meet Oggy outside?
Yeah.
Okay. You all three of you go out the front door and you find Oggy after a short while just having a cigarette, waiting for you, smoking a cigar.
How was he?
Was he okay?
No,
Was he sane?
just about, I think, but I'm not sure how much longer he will be if he stays in that place.
Oh.
I'll-
Well, we better work hard to get him out then.
I'll remind you, Anya, that
Mm-hmm.
he told you that the Dr. Bergerin threatened him in a way and said that he was in for quite an experience when the sky prepares to welcome the new moon.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to communicate that to everyone.
I don't know, because I feel like it will worry them, but also it's probably a good idea to tell them.
Probably. If you want their help to get him out. Oh, also,
Yeah.
do a no check, do an intelligence check just to see if Tala would know something as well. I forgot to make you do it earlier when he told you about it.
Intriguing. Come on, work with me here. Has that actually done it?
Failure.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you're not sure. So you have the information that you've been told, exactly the same as before. So it depends if you want to tell the rest of them to see if they might know more about that.
What was it again?
Yeah.
What did he threaten him with?
He told him Dr. Berger threatened Josh and said that Josh was in for quite an experience when the sky prepares to welcome the new moon.
Does Tala tell us?
Yeah, she would. She'd say.
Okay.
She said Dr. Berger. He said that Dr. Berger told him something super strange. That he's in for quite the time when the sky prepares to welcome the new moon.
You can
Do any
all
of you know what that?
you can all do an intelligence check, a no roll, to see what you know.
What's that thing? You know, where it's like, is it a luck check? Where you're like, did I bring my moon chart?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
That luck.
A lunar calendar, I would say it's probably because it's so unlikely you'd bring that. But
It could be like a calendar, but like a novelty calendar.
I will let
like,
Joe do one because I think that's because he bought his cab. There's a chance that there might be one in his cab that he keeps. So I will allow Joe to do a luck check. I think oh fuck. Okay, 50 is a success on luck. Yes, you do have a calendar that happens to be a lunar calendar, and you'll show the stages of the moon on it in your
I feel like you got
taxi.
it from like a Chinese takeaway or something.
But with the rest of you all succeeding, apart from Tala, you all think there's a new moon approaching in 3 days. And then Oggy, you think, has anyone got a lunar calendar? Just to make sure.
Yeah.
And then Joe obviously says yes, and then looking at the lunar
I've got one
calendar,
in the glove box right here.
you can see that in 3 days there is a new moon approaching.
Well, it's only 3 days from now. I wonder what that leads. What's going to happen? The dimension. I saw a tentacle in the water. It's really creepy.
Did you notice anything else about the water, Joe? I saw some pretty weird stuff at the reservoir. It had like this tint on it.
Yes, it was a sort of bluey grey kind of tint. Yes. Was yours similar?
Yeah. And seeing as we don't have much time, maybe we should check out the reservoir, see if we can actually get down there.
Probably a good idea. Not far.
Did you say a tentacle?
Yes, it was really yes.
Like an
It's
octopus?
only- Exactly. Yes, it was. It was in the. Was it in the sink? It was in the
Yeah,
sink.
but it was also far too big to be an octopus, Joe. It was like it was almost like too big for the sink. It was quite a big tentacle. It was like it was definitely too big for the water to be an octopus. You think?
No, I don't think it was really. It was quite large. I mean, I only saw it for maybe half a second, but I mean, maybe it's my mind playing tricks on me. It's been doing that a little bit lately, but I'm pretty sure that it was a humongous tentacle. It wouldn't fit even in the sink.
I see.
Well,
Well.
Mr. Silford, me and Joe and Tala, how did you think that Milton died? Did you believe the drowning story?
why wouldn't I?
So,
Oh,
it's yeah, we've seen some things. Milton saw the things.
A giant octopus in the water, possessing gigantic tentacles?
well, Milton saw these weird white ape things, and well, we saw some singing dead heads on pikes and a snake person, and
Sorry.
I wish we would have got the pictures.
Right. Sounds like quite the adventure. I mean, we've all seen crazy things. We're all adventurous folk here, seen exotic wonders around the world. That sounds like nothing crazier than I've seen. Say, listen, I don't want to step on any toes, but can't help but think Mr. Winscott, Josh, our beloved Josh, talking about moon, a sky welcoming the moon. I don't suppose we could stop for a moment and think about the fact that he has been... I mean, he committed himself to an asylum, and now he's saying some stuff that could perhaps be considered quite odd.
Yeah, but did you not feel the weird, ominous feeling about this place?
Oh yeah, the building is
Yeah.
just doesn't feel very nice. I'm just keeping the options open. They seem horrible there. Woman with a chewed on ear. Whew. Wouldn't want her running my department.
That's true. Would Tala have mentioned like the blood and all the other things she had seen on the way out?
I think possibly not, unless actually once it got to the stuff about like cryptids, probably she would.
So there's blood everywhere, and definitely something going on.
Mentioning the strange...
Okay.
If you remember, Tala saw a number of strange drawings from multiple different people across different wards of like a dragon toad with multiple eyes.
Yeah.
What?
Suspicious.
It was the same on each ward?
Yeah. The exact same creature. Like nothing I've ever seen before.
Did the creature have tentacles?
I don't think it did it?
Let me just quickly check something.
I remember it had multiple eyes, but I
Yeah.
don't remember tentacles.
Not exactly, no.
No, no
Alright.
tentacles.
Well, I'm all for checking out this water, but if you, Mr. Brown, if you saw a gigantic tentacle coming out of a sink, and we're gonna go to a reservoir, perhaps we should, I don't know, be careful around a large body of water that could have giant tentacles coming out of it?
Oh yes, I'm very prepared. Don't you worry. And he like opens his glove box and pulls out a small gun.
Oggy pulls out his big gun.
Whoa, okay! Well, be it from me to doubt the preparedness of crack team of investigators.
I'm just saying, Mr. Silford, after what me, Joe, and Tyler saw, Joe says he saw something. I'm inclined to believe him.
Alright, understood. Are we just gonna walk past as well the fact that I was introduced to you, Miss Ray, not long ago, but you went by a different name in the asylum? Was that just
And what's your point?
was that just a little bit of sweet talking, a fast game, or?
We've all got things in our lives, Mr. Stillsford, that we don't want to talk about.
Understood.
I posted a picture in the chat of what the sketching would have looked like, or one of the patients was doing.
Oh, terrifying. Wonderful. Sorry. To anyone else, does it look like the bad spider guy from Monsters, Inc.?
A little bit, yeah.
It's loaded.
Oh, Mr.
Oh,
Water
okay.
Noose. He does a bit, yeah.
It's got wings
Well,
and things.
being an alchemical and chemical, all things chemical expert, if you can get me safely with your weapons down to the water's edge, I could take a sample.
Sounds like a good idea.
Sounds like a plan.
Does it, Mr. Nadgett? Because I don't think it sounds like a good idea at all.
Well, we're not getting in through the asylum, and that place looked weird. So I don't. If you got any other way to get back in there, we've got 3 days. We might as well check it out. We're just gonna draw more attention the longer we're here. We might as well get to it.
Yes, we need to figure out another way to get in there, I think.
We're not
What's that?
banned.
Well, I was thinking, what about those classic old stories? People go through the sewers. We don't know, maybe that's not a good idea with creepy water, but...
Now, Joe, now you're talking. Maybe. I wonder where the sewer does lead. I hope they're not recycling their water too much.
I'm not
Well, that's
going
the
in the
thinking
sewer.
there, so... What's about... Yeah.
If Josh thinks he's under threat, why don't we contact the authorities? Get the police involved.
Well,
Well, I feel
you-
like they'd go check him out. The doctor would say he's crazy. And then...
Did you see the amount of certificates that they have? They would probably believe him over us.
Yeah, perhaps you're right.
I'm going to do something here that is called the idea roll. So everyone can roll an intelligence check. It's used by the GM. It encourages the keeper to use it where the investigators seem like they might be slightly stuck and need prodding in another way. I want to introduce it now because it's a new mechanic, and don't necessarily seem stuck, but I want to prod you in a certain direction here. So because this is our first of a certain type of scenario of Call of Cthulhu. So if everyone makes intelligence checks for me.
I'll roll one, but Augie wants to go check out the reservoir, basically.
Yes, absolutely, that's fine. Hard success, failure. And Tala? Is it rolling for you, Tala?
Apparently. Did it?
There we go.
Yeah.
Success. Cool. So, you all get a sense that I think you all get a sense that perhaps you should try and maybe learn a bit more about the asylum itself. Maybe there'll be places in town. But Tala, you get one place you think of that might be useful that you should go. Is that you think that you could go to local libraries or maybe historical societies to learn more, but with a hard success, Randolph, you specifically think, well, the Phillips Library at Peabody Essex, at the Peabody Essex Institute in nearby Salem, or the Danvers Historical Society, or the records at the town hall, would all be really useful information. But you also think, on top of that, the hard success, that the archive morgues at the Danvers Herald or Salem News and the local newspaper outlets, they might have more kind of interesting information there, perhaps. So you think, if we were going to try and learn more about this place to see if we could uncover anything that might, help us get a you think specifically might help us get kind of a loophole that might help us get, in the law or something to get, or perhaps in the history of Danvers where they've maybe let other patients out for extreme circumstances. Maybe that would be useful.
I could also go see if we can find, like if we need to sneak in for whatever reason, then we
Plans.
could try and find the building plans.
Mm-hmm.
Randolph would definitely share this. He'd be saying, they're threatening Pete. I bet if it's Josh's been threatened, I bet he's not the only one. All it takes is a little slip and this place will have a real bad rep. Maybe we should go and check if there's any old stories in the local news outlets.
Yeah, you're right. I think before I act sometimes. I act before I think sometimes.
Yes, well, we could still check out the water, maybe tomorrow, or...
Yeah, let's leave.
Maybe,
I guess that's less suspicious.
Also, if Randy, if you've got enough money, maybe you can get your own gun.
A gun?
Yes, do you know how to shoot?
It's the Third Amendment, Mr. Silford.
I am actually a military man, but well, I think guns can be quite a blunt instrument where cooler heads might prevail, but
He looks at Joe and he's like, I'm sure the Snake Man might have.
Oggy, when he says military,
Yeah.
can you do
Oh.
just do a no check for me? Do an intelligence check. Failure. Unless you want to spend that luck.
Yeah, I think even if he had succeeded and he didn't look military, he wouldn't bring it up.
Okay. It's not not necessarily
I'll get
saying that.
myself something that can fend off tentacles, but I'm not. I've got my finances are currently invested in certain projects, and I do not have the liquid assets to purchase a firearm, Mr. Brown.
That's fair enough. I apologise for trying, but it's just a gun came in useful last time.
Not at all.
What about you, Tyler? Did you get something? Oh, you had to use my screwdriver before.
You are muted if by the way, Tyler, just let you know.
Sorry, say that again.
I was just wondering if you got a weapon, like last time you had to use my screwdriver, so I was just wondering if you got your own one this time. A gun or a sword? Sword would be pretty cool.
I don't. Oh wait, no. Apparently, I have a handgun and a shotgun.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Is
Maybe
that just written on your skills, or do you mean it's in your inventory?
Well, it says firearms.
that's your skill with though firearms.
Oh.
So.
But can I have a shotgun?
Well, if it's in your possessions, you currently do not. You only have a spending level of $10, so we'll have to check how much that would be.
No, I don't have anything, Mr. Brown.
Oh. Can I do a quick luck check before we finish up?
Absolutely. Yeah, do a luck check for me, Oggy.
Oggy's like, I always carry a few around with me, souvenirs from the war. I'll just check my back pocket, see if I got an extra one.
Lucky Foggy does actually carry an extra pistol on him.
Yeah.
And
He wants it. I think it'd be a very small one, like a sidearm.
Ladies first.
Yeah.
And I think
In
on
that case, then, Mr. Stilsford, you should have it.
What's your skills in handguns,
don't think they're very good.
Tyler? Oh.
Yeah.
I think she's got the base
Okay,
score.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, mine's
I
the base
think
score as well.
I mean,
I
yeah.
think it'd be a 3.2mm revolver.
I'll add that to Tala's inventory for her.
Because Augie's got the fat 45.
Yeah. Joe Brown's got 0.35. 32, something like that anyway.
Gets the job done.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I think on that note, we will end the session there for today.
Yeah.
Ooh, so creepy. So
Mystery.
mysterious.
Mm.
I love it. Tentacle in the water. Weird frog thing with a lot of eyes and wings.
Yeah. It's very funny being a new character coming into a Call of Cthulhu crew.
Mhm.
They're all just there like, yeah, this could be like when we saw the snake people before or whatever. And you're just there like, what?
Yeah. Scary.
Okay. But Randy's a poster, so it's just like, yeah, I've been defeated snake people in the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah.
Sure you did, Randy. Sure you did.
Yeah. I hope you all enjoyed the session and
Yeah, it's
enjoying
great.
the system and the story still.
For sure.
Yeah,
Make sure everyone's ticked their boxes if they succeeded.
Yes, indeed. Make sure you're ticking your boxes. So go back through
Only got one.
now. Remember, you don't need to tick main stat stuff, so like intelligence, etc. Just I'll go back through now actually. So we've got. Let's list them off. We've got spot hidden. Oggy got a extreme success, so you can tick off
I
spot
think that's my
hidden.
only one. Yeah.
What else did we get? We got
I got spot hidden too.
a spot hidden for Tala Ray with a regular success. We've got a psychology for Randall for the hard success. You can tick
Oh
off.
yeah.
A spot hidden for Joe with a hard success.
Yeah.
Good at spotting shit.
Yeah.
You wait till we get into combat. I have hard spec'd Randolph into dodging.
Amazing, I love
Got
that.
75 dodge.
Jesus.
It's just gonna be like, woo!
Good Matrix it.
Yep.
Yeah, that is where the session I think cuts off. So that is, and I can see handgun from Joe, which obviously was the previous session. So yeah, that's all the successful skill checks for this session. We will reconvene in 2 weeks to discover
Nice.
what's happening next.
Sweet.
Oh,
Nice.
I gotta know.
Yeah, I wonder if it's connected to the other one or if Josh is just extremely unlucky.
Yeah, I know. It's like the damsel in distress at the moment. Great.
Randolph has some different motivations around Josh.
Yeah, I couldn't work out if he actually knew it.
Yep.
Does
There was
indeed.
a reason why he was asking, like, maybe Josh is just crazy.
Ah,
Do we have full hit points, by the way? Does that go back? to-
Oh yeah, yes, you recover full hit points when you have a chance to get away from a night's sleep from a thing. Or the difference is when you obviously get major wounds and stuff like that. These are not recovering. You need to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
God, I put Augie's age is 49, which is only like 16 years older than me. So it's, well, 17.
God, that makes
But
it
he
pretty
seems-
old. Don't say that.
He makes him like, I don't know, he feels more like 70.
He's great.
Yeah.
Hard bitten.
Did like riling up that doctor.
Yeah, that
I
was
thought you
great.
said you were meticulous.
I thought
Get out.
I thought you did super well with that,
Yeah.
doing the little trick with the two things, like to get him to reveal a bit more information than he would have otherwise.
Yeah, I felt like a smart boy doing that.
Yeah, that was smart.
Background,
I
sitting in the chair, like, doo-doo-doo.
yeah, I love running the system so much. It brings me so much joy. And next session we can get into some proper investigation, which will be very fun. Can try and start piecing together different clues.
I think Joe is going to go around in his taxi and go hang around all the hospitals and the psychology people and try and give them lifts and ask them questions.
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool idea. I like that idea a
Yeah,
lot.
that's a
That's
great
a very
idea.
cool idea.
That's my
Awesome.
idea.
Brilliant. Well, I will call it there then, and we can. I'll speak to you all soon.
Thanks,
Awesome,
Natalie.
awesome.
It's great.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.